What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be working on my 2003 100th anniversary edition Sportster, and what we're going to be doing to it today is we're going to be finally changing out the handlebars. So as you guys can see, these still have the stock 883 Hugger handlebars. They're like the buckhorn style handlebars, and they're very uncomfortable because your hands are kind of, as you can see, they're like kind of twisted, so it's very uncomfortable even for short distances. So we're going to change them out. I'll show you what I got here in a second, but today we're most likely going to just do the disassembly of the current handlebars and speedometer and whatnot, because I got to go to work later, so I can't get too involved today. However, I want to at least start the disassembly process because I just simply cannot wait. So let me show you what I got. So over here, I got some LA Choppers Cage Fighter T-bars. I went with the 12-inch chrome with the pullback. It's a very slight pullback. I think from the straight bars to the pullback difference is only about 2 inches. I think these straight bars are like 4-inch pullback, and these are like 6-inch. So that's just 2 more inches of pullback. I just personally don't like the look of straight T-bars. Kind of like the look of the curve, kind of like a riser ordeal, but I just went with these because it was fairly priced and whatnot. So in this video, we'll be installing the 12-inch, like I said, LA Chopper T-bar cage fighters in the 12-inch pullbacks, and then we're also going to be adding the polyurethane bushings since these mount straight up to the triple tree. And then we also have a LA Choppers gauge mount because, as you know, the current gauge mount bolts to the handlebar clamp, but since we'll be getting rid of this, we need somewhere to go with the speedometer and the turn signals and all that good jazz. So that's where this guy comes in. It just simply clamps to the bottom part of the handlebars, and we can bolt up the existing speedometer to that. Now, as far as grips, I'm just going to be reusing the same grips. So these are the stock Harley Davidson 100th anniversary grips. So I kind of want to keep it as stock as possible because it is the 100th anniversary edition. Now, however, I would love to keep this little medallion, but because that's part of the handlebar clamp, I will unfortunately not be able to retain that, but I'm not going to get rid of it, obviously. I'm going to still hang on to it. So that's really the only thing we're going to lose here. Like I said, I'm going to retain the stock grips just because of that. Now, this side is missing the cap. It was like that when I bought it. However, luckily, I found one on eBay for like 30 bucks, so that should be coming sometime today. So we'll get that patched up. And so enough of me rambling. Let me get you guys set up over there on the tripod, and let's start the disassembly process for these crappy buckhorns. So one of the first things we're going to want to do is, before we do anything, is disconnect the battery or pull the main fuse. So I already went ahead and did that. So the next thing we're going to be working for here is I want to be able to disconnect the current wire harness for the handlebars. I want to take this off first, but in order to get a good bite on these hex bolts, we're going to want to take the top clamp bolts out and remove the speedometer. So that's what I'm going to do first. Actually, before I get too crazy here, I want to actually disconnect the clutch cable and the master cylinder so I can lay those down nicely. So I'm just going to tighten these back up a little bit. Just take these perch clamps off, just because I feel like this is easier. And if I can, I try to leave the bolts back in stuff best I can. This side I have to loosen up just for the brake. So at this rate, I'll have to loosen up the throttle cables as well. So to loosen up these throttle cables, just use 2 3/8 wrenches, crack them loose, back the nut down, that down a little bit. Do the same on the other side. And then that should give you enough slack, and you'll have to just kind of pop the copper end out of the grip. You'll want to watch because these copper ends come off very easily and you don't want to lose them. Alright, so sorry, I had to do that off camera, but it helps where you can almost get a flat tip screwdriver in there and kind of twist it, and it puts slack in cable once you have it loosened up down here, and it's real easy to pop them off. And like I said, just retain those copper pieces because they're real easily to slip off. So the next thing I want to do here is these turn signals got to come off due to just being separated from the wiring. So I used a 5/8 just to break that free, and then we can take this down and then remove the turn signal, make it easier to separate the handlebars. Just stuff off to the side, and the wiring's all mumbo jumbo, so pop this clip out here. It has definitely been a while since I've done handlebars on an older bike that didn't have canvas wiring. Sorry about that, the GoPro just overheated. So the next thing I did is I pulled the throttle cables out of the bottom of the switch housing. You just gotta kind of just pull and wiggle them. They just pop in there, so no big deal. And then just watch this plastic piece here for the throttle hold just kind of lays in there. So I'm just gonna set this aside for now. When I get the bars off and whatnot, that I don't lose that piece. So now that the turn signals and everything are disconnected, throttle cables are disconnected, I have the clutch lever hanging over there. Now we can work on taking the speedometer off and then the top of the headlight housing, so we can hopefully unplug everything, and we should be able to take the bars the rest of the way off. As you know, I say keyword should because it's been a long time since I've done bars on an old bike, let alone an old Sportster, so I'm just going through this with you guys. As much as I want this to be a smooth step-by-step instruction. So real quick, where I am. I decided to take these out for the top of the headlight housing, but once I got to here, I remembered that the wiring for the handlebar goes through the back of the headlight housing. So I popped the headlight out before I took this off. The handlebar connections are the gray and the black connector here. But I don't know how well you can see in there. There's like a rubber grommet that I'm pretty sure that pushes out so you can get these big bulk connectors through the back. So that way you don't have to de-pin them here. So in order to do that, I still believe I need to take this off. So that's where I am. My GoPro keeps overheating, so I just took it off the tripod for now so I can kind of shut it off in between doing things. So I'm gonna finish taking this off and see if I can't get that grommet pop out the back so I can get the harnesses out. So I'll catch up with you guys here in a jiffy. Alright, so at this point I removed that bolt like I said. I was able to pull the harness right out the back. This is the grommet that I was talking about in the back of the headlight housing. Obviously there's just slip in there like that. At this point I have pretty much everything free. I just gotta take the turn signal out of these little clips here, and then I'll be good to take the handlebars off and whatnot. Gonna go do that, and then I'll take the bars off. Like I said earlier, I just have these two hex bolts at the bottom of the handlebar clamp, and then the bars will be free. So as I said before, I'm kind of just, going through it. As much as I want this to be a legit step-by-step, it's been plenty of time since I've done a handlebars on an old bike where everything kind of works against you. But I got the bars off, got the old housing, the old wiring off, took my phone mount off. I'm just realizing that the turn signals run under the tank, and Lord knows it probably hooks somewhere back up here underneath the seat. My original plan was to hang the turn signals from the handlebars like they were and just internally wire these inside the bar. I don't know now with that being like that, so I don't know if I want to get in depth enough and take the tank off to run them how I originally wanted them. I don't know. Still have to sit on that overnight here and think about it. But nonetheless, we're just going to keep working through it and working forward. So the next thing I want to do is I want to change out these triple tree handlebar bushings. They're usually rubber from the factory, so I went and picked up some Arlen and Ness polyurethane bushings. That's what I'll be working on here next. Pretty much you just break them free down here. You have the top collar, top rubber, bottom rubber, and then the sleeve that goes through. So I'll try to film what I can. It's very hard when you're a one-person cameraman and also trying to do the work, especially when your GoPro wants to just keep overheating. But nonetheless, enough complaining, and see what kind of mess we can get into. So real quick, I went ahead, took my 3/4 inch socket, try to break these bushings free, but the top of the handlebar clamp here started spinning. So that's why I put the handlebars back on to keep it from spinning. Try to grab it with my hand, but obviously bolts are thread locked and whatnot, so you really need some oomph to break them free. So I'll show you real quick, put the handlebars back on so hopefully I can get them free. And then once I get them off, I have everything over here. I have the new collars, new bushings, and then the new sleeves. put all those in, and then obviously I can't reinstall the bolts until the handlebars are ready to go back on. So yeah, there's that. Alrighty guys, so I just got the old handlebar clamp off of here, got the collars off of the bushings. So yes, these are the old rubber bushings, so good thing I ordered them to change them out right away. These bolts had severe Loctite on them, obviously, so I had to get my 1/2-inch breaker bar out there, and it took probably about 15-20 minutes to get both of them broke free enough where I could get the ratchet on, and left a crap ton of Loctite. Clean those off. So anyway, to get these out now, I'm just going to use like a flat tip screwdriver and just hammer these center sleeves out. Actually, this one's kind of pushed through on its own a little bit, but flat tip will definitely help that. Then the top rubber will come off, and then there's rubber on the bottom, obviously. And as you can see in the new kit, you put the rubbers on the top, rubbers on the bottom, your center sleeves, and then you have collars for the bottom and the top, and that's pretty much what you do there. So that's pretty simple to do. Like I said, the hardest part was by far breaking the stock ones free, and then just remember you have your stock ground wire here that has to go back on, so try to be cognizant as you take them off of the orientation that this goes on. But I'm gonna go bang these out, get the new ones in, and then we're gonna start looking at the plugs for depinning so I can internally wire my control housing wires through the handlebars, and that's probably where we'll leave it for today, because I'll have to kind of see where these turn signal wires go. I'm still kind of leaning to keeping them on the handlebars like they were, so probably have to take the tank off here. We'll figure that out once we get there. So let me get these bushings changed out, and then we'll go over the depinning process, and we'll see where that takes us. So the old bushings and the new bushings literally took like less than a minute to swap out. Obviously the top collars I just have laying in here for now. As you can see, you got the new collar in there, got the new bushing up top, new bushing on the bottom, both sides. Obviously the bottom collars will just fall off until I go to put the bolts through them. So the only thing that's really left to do with that is clean off the bolts, get them ready for new Loctite when it's time to get the new bars put on. Right now it's time to focus on depinning these wires, or this plug, so we can route the wires through the bar and have them come out. So the one side I already went ahead and depinned it. As you can see, I got the plug all apart. So I just want to go over how to do that real quick, because these are Deutsch connectors. If you're unfamiliar with them, they're actually really easy to depin, unlike some other connectors. So let me try to get you guys set up here, and I'll just show you a quick synopsis on how to depin this. But the first thing you'll want to do is, you'll see on the Deutsch connector, there's a 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6. I don't know how well you can see that on the camera. Do yourself a favor, either write down the color combinations per number on a piece of paper, or take your smartphone and take pictures where you can see the numbers. Obviously the two plugs are different colors, so that should be relatively easy for you, because the wire colors are different as well. But you don't want to get 1 and 3 or 4 and 6 mixed up, because obviously crap won't work. So do yourself a favor, take a picture of the color orientation as it is, or write down on a piece of paper, black connector, number 1 orange with white stripe, 2 red and yellow stripe, so on and so forth, because that will make your life a nightmare if you don't write those down. But enough of me rambling. So with these Deutsch connectors, the easiest way is take the little rubber off there, and then you'll see this is like a wedge connector. Just get yourself a little flat tip screwdriver, kind of wiggle it in there a little bit best you can, and then just pry it right out like so. You can see why it's called a wedge connector. And then I don't know how well you can see this inside there. You have obviously the pins, but there's little levers in there. So what you'll want to do is just get a long flat tip screwdriver in there, pull down on the lever for the wire that you want to pull out, and sometimes you're able to just kind of pull it down a little bit in here. Don't put much pressure on it because it's just plastic. Once you pull the lever down, you should be able to wiggle the wire right out. These are really easy to do. And then as you can see, just kind of wiggles out and boom. So you want to do that for all 6. I'm not going to film all 6 because it's kind of boring and sometimes it takes a little finesse. But nonetheless, that's all you got to do. Go in there, pull the lever down, pull the wires out. So I'm going to go ahead and depin this one, and we'll see where we're at. Alrighty guys, so I got both harnesses depinned here. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do here. If I want to take the tank off, find out where they run, unplug them, run them through, hang them from the handlebars, or if I just want to buy a bracket and kind of just mount them down there on the fork. A lot of people do that. These are just long enough that I feel like I'm still going to have to take the tank off to kind of pull some wire back and shorten the wire up a little bit. So I don't know, but I got to go get ready for work and whatnot. So I'm going to do a little bit of research and think about it overnight and kind of figure out what I want to do here. But I have a feeling I might just have to bite the bullet and take the tank off. So we'll figure it out. But that's it for today. So I'll see you guys in the morning.
Day 2.
What's up guys? It is 2 days later. Yesterday I felt very under the weather and I had to work last night, so I just kind of laid low and took it easy. But it is early in the morning, so we are out here and we're going to try to make some great headway on the handlebar project because I don't have to work today, so we're going to see how far we can get. Just to recap, I went ahead and depinned both control housings, and then I went ahead and depinned the turn signals. So at this point we are ready to run the wires in like my Chinese finger trap wire loom. This is my first time ever using this. I'll see and hear a lot of good things about using this for handlebar jobs because as you pull it, it kind of gets tighter. Especially when you're running multiple wires, kind of just tightens everything up and makes it an easier pull. At this point, I'm going to be kind of just working side by side and try to get the wires in this Chinese finger trap, and then try to use my chain here to run the wires internally. Once we get all the wires ran, then we can work on kind of loosely putting together like switch housings and whatnot, hopefully getting the bars onto the bike. Another thing I want to do is the triple tree bolts. I still have some old Loctite on them. I kind of just want to go ahead and wire brush the old Loctite off. Get to that point of mounting the bars onto the bike, I can put a fresh coat of Loctite on them, hopefully be good to go. Another thing is as I showed you guys earlier in the video, this grip on the throttle side was missing the 100th anniversary cap. Like I said, I was able to find one off eBay. That came yesterday, so that is one thing I did do yesterday, is put the cap on. So that's good to go. Enough of me rambling on. Let me get set up here and try to get some of this stuff ready to go. So real quick, I got the left side housing and turn signal already ran through. Kind of just zip tied it out of the way for now. I just wanted to go over real quick how I've done this, especially now with this like Chinese finger trap. What I did is I got this chain at a hardware store, you know, just like a regular pull chain, but it's a little heavier duty. I started down here in the lower hole and kind of just ran it through till it comes out. Cut my wire loom as long as the wires that I'm running, and then I simply just fed the wires through the wire loom. The end of the plugs I did tape up because the first time I noticed if you don't tape up the plugs even when you run it through the wire loom, sometimes they get stuck in the little holes here and it wants to rip it open. So this time I just wrapped the plugs and it seemed to go a lot smoother through the wire loom. But once you're done running the wires through the wire loom, I tape it up top here, and then I kind of just start the chain maybe like 3 to 4 inches up. You want to make sure the tape's going to come out of the bottom. That way it has extra strength for when you pull it through. And then I just simply kind of, as you can see, you just pull the cord out bottom, feeds in through the top, and then obviously I try to lay my stuff out as neatly as possible. So like right there, you just saw it kind of goes through real easy. And I just start kind of feeding it a little bit here. And then it's just pretty much like a pull down here and push in up here. Pull, push, pull, push. You got to kind of just work single-handedly back and forth. And if you get to a point where it gets too snug, you might have to just pull and wiggle the top here and then pull and wiggle the bottom, and usually you're able to get whatever it's snagged on set free. When I used to just use the actual wire harnesses, I used to just take a paper towel with like silicone lube or WD-40 and just kind of lube up the internal housing. But this wire loom stuff seemed to work really good, actually, surprisingly. Honestly, it took me longer on the left side to cut the wire loom, run the wires through the wire loom, get the chain through the bar, and get it all taped up than it did to actually pull the stuff through the bars. I think it took me like maybe 5-10 minutes from start to finish as far as cutting the wire loom, putting everything through, and pulling it through the bars. So I'm just going to do this side. Just wanted to show you guys that real quick. And then once we get this side through, I guess I'll reference my pictures, repin the plugs, and then I think we'll be good to kind of put the bars on and start piecing it back together. So I got the other side, the right side routed. The right side definitely kicked my butt more than the left, of course, because I talked it up that, oh, it wasn't too bad. So of course this one had to give me a little bit of a pain. But anyway, got both of them routed out, kind of electrical taped them up here just to kind of clean up the wire loom a little bit. Got everything repinned. So at this point, like I just kind of have these hanging there for now, because obviously I'll have to fine tune everything, and I might still need to pull a little bit more wire for the turn signals. I don't know yet, but anywho, we're at that point where we're ready to mount the bars back up to the bike. So I got to remember not to forget my bottom collars for my handlebar bushings, and not forget the ground wire. I already went ahead and cleaned up the bolts. Gonna apply some new Loctite to them, and we're gonna try to get the bars onto the bike, and then hopefully all the wires are still more than long enough, and then we'll go from there. Alright guys, so I got the handlebars just snugged up for now. I didn't torque them down yet. Kind of looking. The only two things that I might have an issue with are possibly the brake line. I might have to extend that. Kind of looked. I might be able to make it work. And then two, possibly the turn signal plug. I might have to extend that a little bit. I still, until I get the switch housings back together, I could probably push a little bit more in, and then I'll have to separate these a little bit to free up the turn signal wire. I'll be able to get a little bit more wire that way. But as far as the bars themselves, plugs are down here, and obviously the headlight sits up here, and the whole headlight box is tight to begin with. So honestly, losing a little bit of wire inside the headlight housing is not a bad thing. But first look, you can kind of tell a little bit. Just wanted to show you this. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and start taking the protective foam off of it, and then I guess I'm going to try to start the grips and the housings and trying to get this headlight assembly kind of put back on. I should probably do the gauge as well with the clamp while I could still kind of get in there. It's kind of what I'll be doing now, just test fitting things a little bit, and show you guys my progress in a little bit. So I actually kind of just, one thing led to another, and I went to town today. I'm still feeling a little bit under the weather, so I just kind of wanted to get as much done as I possibly could. So I'll show you where I'm at, and then I only ran into one issue, well, a couple, but a couple of them I was able to just kind of adapt and overcome and make some minor adjustments. One, I did have to order a part, and I'll go over that here shortly. So enough of me rambling, let me show you where I'm at so far. So as you can see, I got the bars on, everything torqued down, got everything plugged into the back of the headlight, got the headlight back in, got the headlight housing back on, got my gauge mounted up a little bit higher, obviously got all my controls and whatnot squared away. I'm not sure if I'll keep the gauge up this high or if I'll lower it down a little bit. I'm just gonna kind of leave it there because it's perfect for me to see it right now, and I'm thinking about getting like a little molly bag either for down in here, so it'll be out of the sight of the gauge, or I was thinking maybe I might be able to get one for here, and then it will even help hide the wires as well. So I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna do. I'll have to look around, and like I said, this might not be the final adjustment for the speedometer. I might lower it a little bit. I don't know. We'll see with time and how I like it or whatnot. Got all the control housings all tightened down. So the only adjustments I had to do was the throttle cables used to run on this side of the headlight and went up, and it was held with a little bracket off the headlight assembly. I eliminated the bracket off the headlight assembly and just moved the throttle cables to the back side of the forks. I did a full full bar lock left and right, and we are perfectly fine. No issues. Obviously, to have the turn signals where I have them, I had to go ahead, and you're not going to really be able to see, but on the perch clamp mount, I had to file down pretty good to get the wire to lay in there where I could tighten the perch clamp. Also, the brake line, it was kind of just bent back more, so I just loosened up the banjo bolt here a little bit and just kicked it forward a little bit so it put slack back into it, and that's not going to change at all, so that put some good slack into it. The clutch cable was fine. The actual harnesses for the control housings, they were perfectly fine. The only thing that I had to order is a turn signal extender. As you can tell, the bars are straight now, and I have to go back under the tank here. I don't know how well you're going to see it. There's a plug right up in there. That's where the turn signals plug into, which obviously you can see it's not even close, and I'm not even at full bar lock right. So went ahead, ordered those extensions. They were only like an additional $30 off J&P Cycles, so not really a big deal. And like I said earlier in the video, I wasn't sure which route I was going to go. I kind of said off the get-go, I really wanted the turn signals still from the levers and from the mirror mount. So I mean, regardless, I was going to have to do something. If I would have put the clamps down here, there would have been too much slack in the wiring. So $30 to kind of put them where I want them, not a big deal. Today's Monday, so that should be coming in on Wednesday, hopefully, because I'm an RPM member, so that's free 2-day shipping. So once that comes in, we'll get that wired up, and everything's good to go. The only thing that I have to really do yet is just fine-tune the adjustment for the throttle. Obviously, these old Harleys are like kind of tricky with this, and especially with it being carbureted, because you can't just fire it up and play with the adjustment until you get it right. You have to, like, it won't stay running if it's not adjusted right. So I played around with it a little bit, but as always, I'll have the links down below in the description for like the bars, speedo mount for the bars, and then obviously polyurethane bushings I'll leave down below, and then I'll leave a link below for the turn signal extender wires. But overall, I'm very happy with the way they came out. I sat on it and it feels absolutely amazing. I cannot wait for those turn signal extenders to come in and be able to get out and ride it and see how it really feels. But that is all for today, so it will be 2 seconds for you till Wednesday, but it will be 2 days for me. So I'll pick up with the turn signal extenders, and then we'll fire her up.
Day 3.
Alright guys, so we are back. The wire extensions came in yesterday. I added those on, heat shrinked them, and I used silicone wrap to wrap it up real nice for it to lay underneath the tank. But I'm not going to sugarcoat you guys. When I went to turn the bike on, it kept popping fuses. I went through 5 or 6 fuses, so I knew it probably had to be where the wires came out of the handlebar perch clamp. So after further investigation, I took both sides apart, and it was this side, the brake side. It ended up severing one of the wires, so then that was pretty much all I had in me for yesterday. So today I came out and we repaired the wire and had to file down the perch clamp some more, and kept popping fuses, so we ended up having to like really file it down way more than I thought I needed, and really wrap up the wires. So after everything finally all said and done, that's why I really didn't record any of that, because I was just kind of at my wit's end, as you guys can relate. But we don't like to hide that stuff on my channel. We like to be real and authentic and show you guys that no matter how often you do this or whatever, you're bound to run into some issues from time to time, and sometimes the projects just take a little bit longer than expected. But I mean, that's also why we like working on the bikes. We like the challenge, and we like, you know, when stuff does go wrong, we like to use our process of elimination and figure stuff out. So enough of me rambling. You got a good look at the bike. Let me turn the ignition on and just kind of show you. Obviously everything works all the way around. I mean, as you can see, like, it came out pretty clean. Like I said, I want to get a handlebar bag for here. The only other thing I got to do yet, I got to add my phone mount, but I got to look for the little plastic spacer that goes between the clamp and the handlebar. I have no idea what I did with the bag with the spacer, so obviously that's just gonna have to wait for another day. But I mean, mostly I just wanted to get this baby back together and all cleaned up with all the fingerprints and whatnot. That's where we stand. So that pretty much kind of concludes the video. So this project really only took me about, it's tough to say, I want to say 2 days, but only really was a span over a 3-day period. Obviously I started it right before work the one day, and then I kind of had a full day working on it, and then I went to finish up when I got my extensions, and then we ran into this issue, so then it went another half a day. But it is what it is. That's the sometimes that's what happens. So I just realized that I never finished closing out the video for the handlebars. So real quick, I did get a handlebar bag, so I might as well show you guys that right away in the video. That way if you have questions, I'll have the link down below for the handlebar bag in the description, as well as everything else I did. So I didn't do a ride video yet with the new bars, but I did obviously take it out and put about 60 miles on it. And let me tell you, it is thumbs up. It is amazing. Way better riding position, way more comfortable, way better handling. Give you a closer look up of the handlebar bag. So this I got off Amazon for literally, I think it was like 21, 22 bucks. I was looking at the thrashing bag. The equivalent thrashing bag to this is like $75. I'm not made of money like that. So for 22 bucks, this gets the job done. This bag is made by Kemimoto, and honestly, for stuff like this, Kemimoto's absolutely terrific. It's really nice. I like the little American flag there. Came with a couple other straps, like you could take this off and wear it kind of like a purse, like a man satchel if you wanted to. And then they also have straps for the bottom where you could add extra stuff on, but obviously in my application I don't really need that, but it's nice. Got the pretty good storage space in here, a couple pouches, a zipper in the back where I kind of keep my registration insurance card finally, but that's nice. You could easily fit a bottle of water in there. And then obviously you have a front pouch, which is like kind of like really nice felt, so you could put a pair of sunglasses in there without worrying about them getting scratched or whatnot. And then you have some like little loops on the front you could hook whatever your creative mind can think of. But I just wanted to show you guys that right away. I think it just kind of looks better with the handlebar bag up there too. I am going to keep the speedometer there after riding it. I can see it perfectly, and with the handlebar bag where it is, I can still see the speedometer and my turn signals and neutral light and all that good jazz perfectly. So I think that's going to be a wrap for that. The only other thing I did realize from when I filmed the last part of the video is I said I had to look for different handlebar clamps for my phone mount. My handlebar clamp for the phone mount only goes up to 1.25 inches, and these are 1.5 inches up here. So I had to order a new base with a ball for the phone mount. So that is ordered. Hopefully it comes sometime soon so I can get that on. Guys, I love the feeling of these handlebars. I'm glad I did it. It just looks absolutely so much better with them on and done. Just wanted to hop on here quick and fill you guys in on the handlebar bag and just let you kind of know my first initial impressions of riding these. Definitely way better. But this video is probably getting drawn out now, and if you guys can see, got it covered up in the back. We have a new mod for the Sportster. So comment below if you made it this far in the video. Leave what you think the next upgrade or the next video for the Sportster will be. I'm looking forward to hearing some of your guys' guesses on what the next mod will be for the Sportster. But if you guys made it this far in the video, make sure to smash that like button, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon so that way you guys stay notified when I post new videos like this. Make sure to ride safely, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace!